If someone handed you the keys to your future this week, would you be ready to drive? Because make no mistake, this week could change the course of your life. Ready or not, this is a week of real choices. Choices that could potentially change the course of your life in perhaps unrecognizable ways. With Saturn, Venus, and what could be the most dramatic new moon of the year all playing a part, this week isn't about wishing and hoping. It's about stepping up and meeting your future with courage and an open heart. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where I offer up-to-date weekly astrological insights on the subtle energies that influence our lives. Trust me, this is a week where you want to know exactly what's ahead and in store for us. It's going to be quite the roller coaster ride, so you want to be prepared so you can lean into all the twists and turns rather than be completely sideswept by them. And as always, expect some practical tips to help you truly make the most out of this potent week and help get you several steps closer to the highest expression of your life. First up, Saturn, which represents maturity, structure, and discipline, meets up with the North Node, which points towards our individual and collective soul growth. This conjunction is happening in Pisces, the sign of faith, dreams, visions, and unity. In simple terms, Saturn is asking you to commit to your dreams, but not the fantasy version, the real, tangible version. Saturn transits can be a real double-edged sword, and for that reason they are hardly anticipated with excitement. Saturn rewards maturity, commitment, and delayed gratification, and these aren't particularly fun themes for most of us. If we've been dodging responsibilities or taking the easy way out, then Saturn can bring very harsh reality checks that shake us awake and force us to pay attention to something that we've been avoiding. In conjunction with the North Node, that means that the further away you are from your destined path, from your chosen curriculum for this life, so to speak, the higher the probabilities of a wake-up call. And that's a tricky thing because these things like destiny and purpose are such nebulous concepts that so many of us struggle with, and most of us really spend all of our lives trying to figure these things out. And in these cases, events unfolding around a Saturn North Node conjunction can totally blindside us. They are the kind of things that turn out to be a blessing in disguise, but only in hindsight. For example, getting laid off from your job that you didn't really like, and then you have to focus all of your intention and all of your energy into building your freelance side hustle, and then you create a beautiful, fulfilling career out of that. Or it could be something like a romantic breakup, which hurts like hell in the moment and breaks your heart, but then enables you to meet your soulmate several months later on. Now, there is also a benevolent and generous side to Saturn, which isn't talked about anywhere near as much as his more harsh and cold side. So if you have a couple of uneventful days, that probably means that you are on the right track and you are exactly where you need to be. You might not have it all figured out just yet, but you're going in the right direction and you just need to stay the course. And there will be some of you who will see your lives transform in very positive ways, especially if you've been working diligently towards something and delaying gratification. This is the time of this proverbial overnight success that has been years in the making. Just remember, no matter how placid or how dramatic the events are that unfold for you this week, you are still the one who with the agency, and you are still the one who holds the keys to your future. And while the decisions you are making this week could be karmic, you still have to make those decisions. It's still all up to you. So don't rush and take your time. What you say yes to, and just as important, if not even more important, what you say no to this week could shape your path for years to come. This is your opportunity to build something that's solid and lasting. There's a common manifestation block that a lot of people struggle with, and that I have struggled with myself in the past and still struggle with on occasion. So if there is something that you've been trying to manifest for quite a long time and it's just not happening, then listen up, because this could apply to you. And it's when we are looking at something that we are trying to draw into our lives with these kind of rose-tinted glasses, where we're trying to only have the positive aspect, but not the aspect that takes effort or takes hard work. For example, let me illustrate this. You want a beautiful, committed relationship, but you're not willing to have the raw, vulnerable conversations that are needed to build that kind of relationship. You want the money and the wealth, but you're not willing to put in the effort to learn how to manage your resources properly. You want the healthy, fit, toned body, but you're not willing to give up eating junk food every day. You want to live somewhere out in the countryside, but you're not willing to drive to the supermarket for half an hour. You see where I am going with all of these examples, hopefully. And then when we think about this consciously, we just fall into this trap of trying to gloss things over, like thinking to ourselves, well, it doesn't have to apply to me. I can have these things without having to pay this price of entry that is required for them. And the thing is, while we might think that in our conscious mind, subconsciously, we do know that that's not necessarily true. And trust me, there is no way of tricking your subconscious. So with this alignment of Saturn and the North Node, I invite you to look at an area in your life where you're struggling to manifest what you want and ask yourself honestly, am I willing to pay the price of entry? And now don't get me wrong, this doesn't have to be a miserable process. You don't have to make your life difficult, you just have to put in the effort. You want your business to be successful? Well, you're going to have to work towards it, including on evenings, including on weekends, and maybe even including on holidays. But guess what? You can still enjoy that work. There's no reason why that work can't be fun and inherently rewarding in and of itself. And some things in life do flow to us easily, without much effort, almost as if by magic. But there are other areas in our lives where we do have to put in the work. So ask yourself, where have you been avoiding putting in the effort? Where have you not been showing up for yourself? And where and how are you able to push through the discomfort, maybe even embrace the discomfort in order to create this beautiful vision of your life that you've got? This transit is a reminder that true growth requires both vision and commitment. Now let's talk about Venus, our planet of beauty, love, money, and values, making two major moves this week. First, Venus meets the North Node, also in Pisces, on Thursday, April 24th, for the third time since the beginning of February. And actually, they met for the first time on the 1st of February, then they conjuncted again on April 7th, and now this is the third and for now final time. So that means we need to look at this entire time period as a whole. So think of some kind of situation around love, relationships, beauty, and this can be personal beauty or art or beautiful surroundings, money and finances, values, valuable possessions. Something around those themes that first started unfolding at the start of February and then took a turning point around April 7th. This situation now promises to come full circle with this third conjunction. Perhaps you met someone new who you've had a really strong connection with, and that doesn't even have to be a romantic connection either. Or maybe an existing relationship in your life began to evolve and grow. Or maybe you are learning how to value yourself better. And because the North Node is involved, whatever lesson comes out of that situation is one that takes you closer to this karmic path that we already began exploring with the Saturn and North Node conjunction earlier the week. So maybe now you are stepping towards your destiny with a new partner or within a relationship that has grown and evolved. Maybe you are stepping towards your destiny in a new environment, for example, one that allows your creativity to flourish. Or perhaps you are finally learning the value of your unique gifts and you step out and you're ready to finally share them with the world. This could be a very emotional moment, but emotional in a very beautiful way. The path before you will become so much clearer, or perhaps you'll understand that it's always been there, but now you finally see how life has arranged so many different moving parts in order to enable you to be exactly where you are right now. So on this day, to make the most of this energy, I invite you to make a list of everything that is beautiful around you. It's a little bit like a gratitude list, but with a bit of a twist, because we're coming at it from a slightly different angle. Because, for example, you may not naturally gravitate towards being grateful for your neighbor's beautiful flower display, but you can appreciate the beauty in it. Try and look at things that aren't necessarily obvious. Can you appreciate the beauty of the vegetables that you are using to cook your dinner? Or perhaps something a little bit more challenging. Can you appreciate the beauty of a spider? Can you appreciate the beauty of an old derelict building in your neighborhood? And obviously don't forget about yourself either. What is beautiful about you, inside and out? What is something that is unique to you, that makes you individually beautiful, unlike anybody else? The more you open up your awareness to the beauty that is already surrounding you, the more you open the doors to even more amazing, beautiful experiences to come into your life. So one day after this romantic Venus and North Node influence, we are pulled right back down to reality when Venus meets Saturn again. So the previous day offered us some more clarity on our path, and now we are being asked to commit to that path, to make the decisions that will enable us to walk towards that higher goal that is in store for us. And this will, in a lot of cases, also mean cutting things out, cutting out old relationship patterns that don't serve you, cutting out old self-talk that doesn't value yourself properly, perhaps even cutting out people and cutting out relationships that no longer serve you. And you probably won't have to second guess a lot here. Saturn is very good at showing us where we need to let go of something. We just need to be available to listen, because a lot of the time we may not like what we are being shown. Fantasy will be challenged, but on the other hand, we will have an opportunity to build something that's solid and lasting. We are being asked to put our money where our mouth is and prove that we are being serious about our dreams. Illusions or superficial connections could naturally fizzle out that day. For example, if you've been in an on and off situationship, this would be a great day to have that sit down talk and lay some ground rules. You might end up creating something beautiful, or the relationship might fall away, in which case that's a sign that it was never really in your highest good to begin with. Another theme that could come up is that of taking responsibility in both romantic and financial matters. So if you've been in a relationship that's very lopsided, where one person has been given way more than the other person, then this could come to a head and there might be a sudden outburst under this influence. Or if you've been neglecting your finances and you haven't been responsible with your money, maybe ignoring your bank balance and just going shopping, randomly pulling out some cards in the hope that one of them will work, surely this could come to bite you as well, for example, in the form of an unexpected expense. So if you don't want a rude wake-up call on that day, I encourage you highly to consider, where have you been stepping away from responsibility, and do that in the run-up to this day. Where around romantic and financial situations have you been ignoring warning signs, hoping for the best and just kind of coasting along? And if you take the initiative to address these issues in advance, then you're much more likely to sail through this transit untouched, unharmed, and without an awful lot of drama. And finally, to close off the week, we have the new moon in Taurus on Sunday, April 27th. Taurus rules stability, abundance, self-worth, and pleasure. It's the perfect time to set intentions around building something nourishing and lasting in your life. But, and this is important, this new moon does not happen in a vacuum, and we have some exceptionally challenging transits occurring on the same day that we have to talk about. On the same day, Mars in Leo is opposing Pluto in Aquarius, again for the third time, promising that this will be the most intense expression of this transit. Mars opposite Pluto is one of the most volatile constellations that we have. Tensions could be very high. Power struggles, sudden outbursts, feeling triggered by authority or control, all of this is happening. And then to top things off, we also have Uranus conjunct Demon Star Algol, also on the same day, also for the third time. Now, I absolutely do not want to be fear-mongering on this channel. That is very far away from my intention. But sometimes we have to call a spade a spade. And in this case, these two constellations happening on the same day as a new moon spells one thing above everything else, and that's violence. So we may see some very shocking news reach us around that weekend. Now, of course, I don't want you to panic. There is no need to, go hide in the sand about this. But I do encourage you to just be aware and to be a little bit more switched on this weekend. Pay attention to your surroundings. Don't take any unnecessary risks. The kinds, for example, like when you're driving and you do a bit of a naughty maneuver and then afterwards you think to yourself, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Just don't get yourself into those kinds of situations. If you get a gut feeling that suddenly tells you to go somewhere or not go somewhere, and it doesn't really make any logical sense, listen to that gut feeling. Pay close attention to it. And just be aware that people's tempers might flare up a lot more than usual. So if you do start sensing that there is conflict arising, just be the bigger person and walk away. It's not going to be worth it on that weekend. Stay grounded and don't try to power through any resistance, because that might just end up backfiring. Grounding is really going to be key this weekend. So you could try doing a grounding meditation in nature, or as a new moon ritual, I invite you to make an offering to the earth. And this can be something like taking some water and spreading some water on the soil where some trees are growing or some shoots are sprouting up. Especially if you live somewhere in a dry climate, or if it's been dry where you live for the last couple of days, this is a very beautiful thing to do. Or if you live in a city, you could grab some seeds and scatter them somewhere in a very sad-looking patch of grass or dirt. Just if you do that, just make sure that these are seeds for local plants so that you don't accidentally end up introducing an invasive species. Or something else that you could do would be to scatter some rice as a sign of fertility, or scatter some flower petals. And here's the catch. Usually when we do these things, we do them and we ask for something else in return. We ask to bring something into your life, for something to be gifted to us in return. But this weekend, I invite you to just make an offering to our beautiful planet, to the earth, without expecting anything in return. Because the energies in this weekend are going to be so headstrong, so chaotic, and so intense that trying to push something else into that is just unlikely to be very successful. But instead, if you learn to surrender and just give something to the earth, which does so much for us, by the way, if we can just offer her something without any expectation, without any strings attached, I expect you to have a really, really beautiful experience doing that. So here's your cosmic to-do list for the week ahead. Commit to your dreams, but make them real. Stay open to destiny meetings, but trust slow growth. Ground yourself and connect to the earth under the new moon. And move from love, not fear, even when tensions arise. If this resonated with you, I would love it if you could like this video, subscribe to my channel, or leave your new moon intentions in the comments below. And if you would like a detailed breakdown of your personal chart and how that's going to interact with the upcoming transits, then check out the description box below. I do offer personalized one-on-one readings, and I would love to dive deeper with you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.